world conspires against your peace. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle manipulation of society, of circumstance, feels designed to fracture your inner sanctuary. But what if I told you that the chaos outside is irrelevant unless you invite it inside? That the storms that rage across the landscape of humanity cannot touch you unless you give them entry? The first truth you must understand is that your anger, your frustration, your agitation, these are not reactions to the world. They are admissions of a world that has successfully trespassed upon your inner citadel. To stay calm is not to ignore reality. It is to reclaim your dominion over it, to recognize that your mind is the true battlefield and all else are mere shadows. You must see that every slight, every insult, every betrayal is a reflection of a mirror you hold to the collective unconscious. Nietzsche said, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster." The anger you feel toward another is a monster growing within you, fed by your lack of awareness. The moment you understand this, the first walls go up, walls built not from avoidance, but from comprehension. They are walls made from the insight that no one can invade a mind that refuses to surrender to provocation. Consider the human condition through Jung's lens. The shadow within each of us is dark, restless, and insistent. It seeks to dominate the conscious self, to erupt when restrained, to drag the individual into reactionary chaos. Yet, the enlightened mind does not fight the shadow externally. It meets it, understands it, and channels its energy. This is your first discipline, to meet the provocations of the world as though they were mirrors of your own latent shadows. When someone insults you, they do not define you. They only define themselves. You are the observer, not the actor in their drama. Now, shift your attention inward to mindset. The mind that is calm does not mistake significance for offense. It does not confuse action with attack, circumstance with conspiracy. The clarity that comes from detachment is not coldness. It is the warmth of sovereignty. It is the understanding that every challenge is an opportunity to practice composure, that every interaction is a test of your mastery over self. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength is born in these moments when the world tries to push, to prod, to provoke, and you respond with a stillness that is terrifying in its refusal to crumble. Belief, not the shallow belief in luck, fate, or divine intervention, but belief in the immutable structure of your mind is the second pillar. You must believe that no external force, no petty indignity, no orchestrated chaos can uproot the foundation you've laid. This belief is not passive, it is active vigilance. It is training the self to recognize provocation and respond with intentionality rather than reaction. Imagine your consciousness as a fortress with towers high enough to see every approach, gates strong enough to let only what serves your growth enter, and a moat deep enough to drown the petty, the trivial, the malicious. Vision and purpose give the fortress its life. When your focus is tethered to a higher mission, the noise of others fades into irrelevance. The insults, the manipulations, the social machinations, they are whispers against a wind that is infinitely stronger. Aldous Huxley warned of the controlling mechanisms of modern slavery. Not chains of iron, but chains of perception, chains of attention. To remain calm is to break these chains. Your purpose is your liberation. Clarity comes when you know the terrain of your own ambitions, when your gaze pierces the veil of distraction and sees the horizon clearly, regardless of the tempest around you. Discipline is the daily exercise of this sovereignty. You cannot claim calm as an abstract ideal. Calm is a muscle. Every moment of restraint, every choice to respond rather than react, strengthens it. Action, then, is deliberate. Not every engagement requires your energy. Not every slight demands your emotion. There is a subtle, profound power in letting things fall away like autumn leaves from a tree that knows it will bloom again. Resilience is built in this quiet surrender to nothingness. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to awareness. The recognition that your emotional currency is finite and you spend it on the things that matter, not on the projections of others. Gratitude fortifies this mindset. To be unbothered is not to be indifferent. It is to recognize the gift of perception. You are alive, you are conscious. Every insult you receive, every challenge you face is raw material for growth, for self mastery. The moments designed to provoke are actually invitations to refine your character, sharpen your intellect, and expand your resilience. Gratitude turns the poison of offense into the nectar of understanding. Adaptability becomes your armor. The world will always change. People will always act in ways that defy reason, decency, and expectation. You cannot control their impulses, but you can control the response of your own psyche. Here lies the secret. The calm mind is like water. It flows around rocks, absorbs shocks without fracture, and moves with intelligence that is invisible but undeniable. Resilience is not rigidity. Rigidity breaks. Calmness bends. Calmness endures. Calmness transforms obstacles into opportunities. Learning relentless, unyielding, reflective learning is your perpetual ally. Every moment of provocation, every encounter designed to disturb, is a lesson cloaked in adversity. The unbothered mind studies the source of agitation, studies its own shadow, and emerges stronger, wiser, unshakable. This is the alchemy of the soul, turning irritation into insight, offense into understanding, chaos into mastery. History is littered with those who surrendered their peace for the fleeting triumph of reaction. Do not be one of them. You may think this is an abstract philosophy, but it is raw, concrete, and immediate. It begins with a choice: the refusal to be drawn into the dramas of others, the refusal to be a pawn in the unconscious games played by humanity, the refusal to surrender your energy to anger, irritation, or resentment. Every time you reclaim your composure, you are taking back sovereignty over a piece of your life that was quietly being stolen. Every smile that does not hide tension, every breath that does not carry reactivity, is a silent victory. And here lies the paradox that Jung whispers through the corridors of time. To remain unbothered is not to suppress your feelings, but to integrate them. It is to confront the shadow without being consumed by it, to feel the sting of provocation, acknowledge it, and let it pass like smoke through the chimneys of a vast, enduring mind. The world may scream, and the masses may clamor, but within there is a cathedral of silence, where no force may enter without invitation. History and philosophy converge here. Machiavelli knew power was perception. Nietzsche knew suffering was an instrument for transcendence. Jung knew the shadow could either devour or enlighten. To walk the path of the unbothered is to wield these truths as weapons and shields simultaneously. You are the silent strategist, the calm observer, the mind that terrifies not through aggression but through an unassailable presence. The ultimate mastery is this: to move through the world as though nothing can touch you, not with arrogance, not with apathy, but with absolute informed awareness. You observe chaos and remain unshaken. You witness malice and respond with clarity. You feel injustice and act with precision rather than passion. This is the mind that no one can unsettle, the soul that cannot be stolen, the consciousness that remains sovereign against every assault. Every challenge, every insult, every manipulation becomes a mirror. And when you look into it, you see not the reflection of another's malice, but the shape of your own infinite power. You are the master of perception. You are the architect of calm. You are the one who will never surrender to the shallow victories of anger, because you understand a deeper, enduring triumph, mastery over self, over shadow, over circumstance. Here, in this space, you are untouchable. not because the world has changed, but because you have. The storm rages, the world conspires, humanity clamors for reaction, and yet, within you, there is a stillness as vast as the ocean, as relentless as time, as silent as eternity. Here, there is freedom. Here, there is invincibility. Here, there is the truth that no matter what others do, no matter how they provoke, you are beyond the reach of disturbance. The final realization is profound. The unbothered mind is not cold. It is not distant. It is alive, intensely alive, aware, and engaged but on its own terms. Every emotion, every interaction, every challenge is weighed, measured, and met with the intelligence of someone who has walked through the fire of chaos and emerged untouched. Anger dies before it touches you. Insults bounce off as echoes of immaturity. Provocation folds in the presence of your sovereign consciousness. This is the mind Jung envisioned. The self, fully realized, fully integrated, fully aware. You do not react. You observe. You do not succumb. You transcend. You do not lose energy to the world. You reclaim it for the sacred task of mastery over self. You are calm, unbothered, untouchable. And in this calm lies the power to move mountains, to inspire without effort, to navigate the currents of existence with a grace and dominance that is invisible but undeniable. The world may try to rattle you, but you are the still point, the axis on which reality spins, the eye of the storm. Here you are unshakable. Here no anger can reach you. Here no chaos can disturb you. Here you are the absolute, unyielding, sovereign mind, the quiet power that arises from understanding, from integration, from the practice of conscious mastery, is infinite. And once you step fully into it, once you embrace the truth that calm is a choice, a discipline, a strategy, and a philosophy, you will move through life untouchable. You will observe without attachment, act without reaction, and exist without disturbance. This is the victory that no one can take from you. This is the freedom that no circumstance can deny. This is the mind that no human malice, no societal chaos, no fleeting insult can ever touch. You are calm, you are untouchable, you are free. The calm you wield is not born from avoidance, nor from ignorance of the world's cruelty. It is forged in the crucible of awareness, tempered by observation, and honed by experience. To remain unbothered is to hold the power of perspective as your weapon. Every slight, every insult, every act of malice is reframed. The slight is a lesson, the insult a reflection, the malice a shadow begging to be understood rather than feared. You begin to see people not as enemies, but as projections of their own unconscious, puppets of impulses they cannot yet name. And in naming these impulses, in understanding their origins, you free yourself. The mind that is calm refuses the seduction of drama. It refuses the addictive rush of righteous indignation. It refuses the false narrative that power lies in reaction. True power lies in the stillness that precedes action. Machiavelli wrote of power in terms of manipulation, of dominance, of force, but real mastery, the mastery that elevates one above the petty skirmishes of society, lies not in dominance over others, but in dominion over self. A human being who controls their own response, who observes without entanglement, becomes a silent titan, invisible, yet omnipotent in effect. Imagine the world as a stage, each person a performer, every conflict a scene. The unbothered mind watches from above, unbound by scripts, unmoved by lines delivered with venom or deception. You do not stumble into the plot. You write your own scenes. You do not react to their drama. You craft your own narrative, one defined not by others' chaos, but by the clarity of your vision. When you step into this awareness, you recognize that most of humanity operates on autopilot, driven by unexamined impulses, collective conditioning, and fragile egos. To be calm is to rise above the noise, to inhabit a space they cannot reach, to operate on a plane of consciousness they cannot perceive. Discipline becomes your scaffold. Every day, you train yourself not merely to withstand provocation, but to transform it into insight. When someone seeks to enrage you, you ask, what does this reveal? What does this teach me about them, about myself, about the world? In doing so, the insult ceases to have power. It becomes raw material. It becomes a tool. It becomes a stepping stone toward greater understanding, greater awareness, greater mastery. Nietzsche's words echo here. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. But the unbothered mind does not merely endure. It transforms suffering into illumination, offense into strategy, provocation into clarity. Resilience is not born from avoidance. It is born from confrontation without surrender. You do not retreat from the storm. You stand in it, aware of its passing nature, impervious because you know its limitations. You realize that all external forces, no matter how overwhelming they appear, are temporary, fleeting, and irrelevant to the fortress of your consciousness. Every insult, every betrayal, every act of injustice is ephemeral. Your mind, your awareness, your sovereignty, these are eternal. Gratitude deepens your power. It allows you to see every challenge as an opportunity, every irritation as a teacher, every provocation as a mirror reflecting your inner growth. To be unbothered is to transform chaos into nourishment, to convert adversity into fuel for the soul. When someone seeks to hurt you, the unbothered mind smiles inwardly, knowing that they are unwittingly contributing to the refinement of your character, the expansion of your consciousness, the strengthening of your calm. Adaptability becomes instinct. The world will always attempt to disturb, to destabilize, to provoke. But you, like water, flow around obstacles. You absorb shocks without breaking. You bend without snapping. You move with intelligence invisible yet undeniable. You understand that rigidity fractures under pressure, but calm flexibility endures, transforms, and thrives. Every moment of disturbance is a lesson in navigation, a chance to hone your capacity to remain unaffected, a way to expand the borders of your invulnerability. Learning is perpetual. Every provocation, every insult, every manipulation is a text to be read, a puzzle to be solved, a shadow to be confronted. The unbothered mind is a scholar of life, dissecting every interaction with precision, discovering hidden motives, understanding unseen dynamics, and emerging more powerful, more aware, more untouchable. Knowledge is your shield. Awareness is your sword. And in the wielding of both, you transcend the petty limitations of emotional reactivity. You begin to understand the illusion of control in the external world. Control is always internal. You cannot dictate the actions of others, but you can dictate the response of your own consciousness. And in doing so, you reclaim your freedom, your energy, your peace. Every time you refuse to be drawn into another's drama, you reclaim a piece of yourself that the world has long sought to steal. Every time you observe without reacting, you expand the boundaries of your sovereignty. Every time you breathe through provocation, you assert mastery over self in a world that desperately confuses reaction with power. Here, in this space, your calm becomes magnetic. People may still attempt to provoke, but their efforts bounce harmlessly against your composed presence. Their malice meets the wall of your understanding. Their envy meets the moat of your detachment. Their chaos meets the calm of your unwavering consciousness. And as they struggle in their turmoil, you move unshaken, unbothered, and unstoppable. The ultimate mastery is this: to inhabit life fully, intensely and profoundly without ever being dragged into the petty games of anger and resentment. To feel deeply, to observe profoundly, to act decisively, all without losing your composure. To understand that calm is not neutrality, but a form of power, a lens of clarity, a weapon of insight. The world may scream, but you are the still point. Humanity may rage, but you are the eye of the storm. Chaos may attempt to claw at your consciousness, but you are the fortress that endures. Every day, every interaction, every slight, every insult becomes an opportunity to strengthen this fortress. You are sculpting a mind so refined, so sovereign, so unshakable, that no force in the external world can disturb it. And in this sculpting, in this training, in this relentless practice of calm mastery, you step into a truth as old as Jung, Nietzsche, and every philosopher who understood the shadow, that the ultimate power lies not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. And now, as the layers of insight accumulate, as the understanding of shadow, perception, discipline, and sovereignty intertwine, you recognize a final, unassailable reality, that to be unbothered is to be free. Free from anger, free from manipulation, free from the petty schemes of others, free to observe, free to act with clarity, free to exist in the fullness of your own consciousness without compromise. The calm mind is a liberated mind. The unbothered soul is an invincible soul. The sovereign self is untouchable by design, refined by practice, and immortal in influence. Here in this mastery, you walk among the chaos of the world like a silent emperor, unseen yet commanding, unassailed yet omnipotent, untouched yet transformative. You are the stillness that outlasts storms, the calm that deflects fury, the awareness that renders provocation powerless. And in this stillness, in this calm, in this sovereignty, you finally understand that the world may attempt to shake you, society may attempt to provoke you, individuals may attempt to enrage you, but the mind that has trained itself, the soul that has mastered itself, the consciousness that has integrated itself, remains untouchable, unshakable, and unbothered. The unbothered mind does not merely exist. It dominates its own inner universe. It is not a passive observer of life's provocations, but a conscious architect, sculpting every thought, every reaction, every breath with precision and intent. You begin to perceive the subtle forces that manipulate most people, the gossip, the envy, the small acts of cruelty, as nothing more than clouds passing before a sun that does not move. Your peace becomes the gravity in which the chaos orbits, unable to escape its pull, but powerless to disturb the core. You must understand the subtle mechanics of provocation. Anger, resentment, irritation, these are chemical reactions, evolutionary impulses designed to preserve survival. But in modern life, they are often misdirected, triggered by words, by glances, by misperceived slights. The unbothered mind recognizes the illusion. It knows that the offense is rarely real. It is manufactured by perception, distorted by projection, amplified by ego. In this recognition lies the first liberation, the ability to feel without succumbing, to witness without being wounded, to know without reacting. History provides countless lessons. Consider Marcus Aurelius, standing amid the decadence and corruption of Rome, surrounded by betrayal, yet composing meditations that resonate with timeless clarity. His calm was a practice, a deliberate cultivation of the inner citadel. Or Nietzsche, who turned suffering into philosophy, pain into poetry, chaos into insight. Even in the shadows of society, the unbothered mind has always existed. Those who mastered perception, who transcended ego, who converted adversity into the fuel of transformation. To follow their path is to understand that the external world is never the battlefield. The battlefield is always internal. Your perception is the sword that cuts through illusion. When someone attempts to provoke you, you observe. You do not react. You dissect the intent, the motive, the projection, and in that dissection, the sting disappears. People lash out because of what they cannot reconcile within themselves. They seek to disturb the equilibrium they see in you because it reflects what they lack. Recognize this, and the power of their words collapses. The calm mind turns potential chaos into insight, potential malice into strategy. Every insult is a teacher. every slight a mirror. Belief in your own sovereignty strengthens this calm. You must cultivate the unshakable conviction that no external action can diminish your internal dominion. You are the governor of your mind, the commander of your attention, the curator of your emotions. Every moment you choose composure over reaction, insight over fury, clarity over confusion, you reinforce this truth. Nietzsche said, "Become who you are." To remain unbothered is to fully inhabit this principle, to embody the power of self-mastery in a world designed to fragment consciousness. Discipline is the engine of this mastery. You will face provocations daily, as inevitable as sunrise. You will encounter people who test your patience, systems that push your limits, circumstances that threaten to unravel you. Discipline is not the suppression of reaction. It is the cultivation of choice. Every breath taken in awareness, every step measured in calm, every moment observed with clarity strengthens your ability to navigate life without being disturbed. Adaptability is the armor that complements discipline. Life is fluid, unpredictable, uncontrollable. To remain unbothered is to move like water, pliant yet unyielding, soft yet powerful, invisible yet unstoppable. The rigid mind shatters under pressure. The adaptable mind flows, diverts, and transforms. Every challenge becomes a lesson in navigation. Every provocation a chance to refine resilience. Every encounter an opportunity to test the flexibility of your inner sovereignty. Gratitude deepens your invulnerability. When you perceive provocation as a gift, a mirror, a teacher, an insight into human nature, its capacity to harm diminishes. Gratitude converts potential anger into understanding, transforms resentment into reflection, and dissolves irritation into wisdom. The unbothered mind sees the world clearly. It does not take offense because it understands the nature of offense itself. People act as they must, and you act as you choose. This is the separation of reality and projection, of stimulus and reaction, of chaos and calm. Resilience grows with every conscious choice to observe rather than react. Every insult that passes without disturbance strengthens your mind. Every act of malice that meets your calm fortifies your spirit. The unbothered do not merely survive life's provocations, they thrive on them. The world hurls fire, and yet you walk through it untouched, transforming the heat into energy, the pain into fuel, the chaos into clarity. You are not cold. You are alight with the intelligence of awareness, glowing with the power of sovereignty. Learning is ceaseless. The unbothered mind constantly deciphers, interprets, integrates. Every interaction, every subtle nuance, every conflict becomes an object of study, a source of wisdom, a tool for refinement. Knowledge of human nature, understanding of projection, awareness of shadow, these are your weapons. Observation without attachment, comprehension without judgment, insight without reaction, this is how you remain unshakable. The unbothered mind transforms life into a laboratory of self-mastery. Even in extreme adversity, calm prevails. Consider the historical figures who faced unimaginable betrayal, loss, and danger, those who maintained clarity amid chaos. Their calm was not naive, it was cultivated. It was informed by awareness, sharpened by discipline, fortified by understanding, and it allowed them to act decisively, strategically, and without distraction. You too can cultivate such calm. You too can observe, understand, and act without ever being consumed. The supreme power of the unbothered mind lies in this paradox. You are fully alive, fully aware, fully engaged, yet untouched by the forces that seek to disturb. Anger may ripple around you, envy may fester, malice may attack, but it reaches only the surface. Beneath it lies the unshakable fortress of consciousness, the cathedral of clarity, the invincible domain of your own mind. You are untouchable, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Every insult, every manipulation, every provocation is now irrelevant. They are shadows against the vast light of your awareness. You observe without attachment, act without reactivity, exist without compromise. And in this existence, you discover the ultimate freedom, the liberation of being unbothered, the sovereignty of a mind that no external force can shake, the power of a soul that knows its own dominion. You are calm, you are sovereign, you are free. And now, at the summit of your awareness, you see the truth that the unbothered mind has always known. The world cannot harm what does not surrender. The insults, the betrayals, the petty provocations, they are nothing but wind against the immovable mountain of your consciousness. Every moment of calm, every breath taken in mastery, every choice to observe rather than react becomes a declaration. I am sovereign. I am untouchable. I am free. You walk through life not as a victim of circumstance, but as a force of awareness. You do not chase validation. You do not seek revenge. You do not bend to the whims of ego-driven chaos. You have transcended the shallow victories of reaction. Your mind is a citadel, your soul a fortress, your consciousness a river flowing unshakable through the storms of existence. And in this calm, you finally realize the ultimate power, that peace is not given, it is claimed, that freedom is not found, it is earned, that sovereignty is not inherited, it is forged in the fires of self-mastery, tempered by awareness and polished by the relentless practice of choosing calm in a world designed to provoke. Walk forward now, unbothered. Let the world rage. Let chaos roar. Let malice attempt to pierce your serenity. You will stand unmoved, invincible, serene, because a mind that is calm is more powerful than armies, more enduring than time, more impenetrable than steel. And the soul that is unbothered is free, free to think, free to act, free to live fully, fully awake, fully sovereign. You are calm, you are untouchable, you are free. And in that freedom, you become the master not only of your life, but of the very storms that once sought to destroy you.